What is going on? It's Alex coming back at you with another video, and today it is round two of this mock draft 6.0 with trades. If you are new, feel free to check out round one. We will be doing a quick recap. Yes, Caleb Williams returned to school in this. It's not like he's available here at the start of round two. Quick disclaimer, but let's get right into this. Feel free to join the community. We'd love for you guys to hop along the hype train. We are on the way to 10K by the end of the year. It'd be great if we got there. If not, we're still having a great time on our way there. Again, Caleb Williams did return to school, so it's not official. That it's just the assumption for this mock draft. It makes it fun because every single week we make mock drafts just like this. So feel free to stay tuned for that. I am actually going to be going to Houston for a job interview, so that's going to be extremely interesting, so I may be a little bit less reliable in terms of responding ASAP to your comments, but for this video and for maybe the next one, we'll be a little bit more on top of it. So just got to give you all a heads up there. Feel free to wish me luck. That would be great. Regardless, the show will continue. I am not letting a full-time job stop me from doing my passion project. That's what I tell them. But this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So let's make that a possibility. Let's continue by talking about this. Again, Caleb Williams returns to school. I have to continue saying that for the amount of people who did not listen to the first 30 seconds of the video. But we have a trade. The Bears trade out at number one. If Drake May is the only top quarterback available, I do think there's going to be a little bit extra demand for him in a team like the Broncos that do have weapons. They do have a coach that is used to working with mobile quarterbacks. Drew Brees is not mobile, but he made Taysom Hill work. I'm just pulling at straws here. I'm trying to defend Sean Payton when I don't think that he was a great acquisition there for Denver. Regardless, it's a new regime here. Another trade right here happened where the Vikings moved up for Michael Penix. You guys can read. So we had a trade up here where the Chargers got Brock Bowers. Trade up here as well, where we got Jerzon Newton with a jump up by the Raiders, and then Kalen King with a jump up by the Steelers. You guys see the effects of that. Actually, we had the Cardinals trade back up, which is what they did last year. So a trade back and a trade back up for Chris Jenkins. Of course, we will be reviewing this as well, but seeing if there's any other trades that happened, we did have Miami trade out and same thing in San Francisco to get Chop Robinson and Joe Milton. So we are here now. Let's have some fun. So at pick number 33, the positions I want to target are exactly listed by PFF: wide receiver and edge rusher. Now, I don't know what the situation is going to be in terms of what the wide receiver room looks like, right? Do you want to have someone with unbelievable potential like Xavier Legette? 6'3", 227, former tight end, but runs the fastest time in all of college football? Maybe. Or do you want a true, proven number one wide receiver here in Troy Franklin? I like Troy Franklin more, but that's also because I haven't seen Xavier Legette in all 22. He's fun as hell to watch. I must admit, he is fun as hell to watch. But if you want somebody who is big and fast, I feel like you could get good, solid value down the board. You want to take a shot on Brew McCoy. He's not going to be nearly as fast, but looking for alternate options, there are other ones. I'll scroll down so y'all get to see a little bit more of my board as well. Kalen Bullock and Troy Franklin are my next best guys. And I think Troy Franklin's phenomenal. He's been putting up numbers all year, and it's against even good, very solid defensive backs. So for me, I'm going to go Troy Franklin in this situation. I do feel like he is the right move for this franchise, especially if you get rid of Terrace Marshall. I feel like he could fit that role perfectly, but I do think he could be a true number one wide receiver. It sucks that I can't get him with the Patriots to pair him back up with Bo Nix, because we all know, the Patriots do kind of need a little bit of help there. At pick number 34, again, one of my least favorite teams to draft for is the Dolphins. Just one of those teams I'm not a huge fan of, sending a high pick on a left tackle. But with Terron Armstead most likely not going to be coming back, just he doesn't play that much anyways. I think a solid veteran like Jordan Morgan's a good value here. There's just not many left tackles. Julian Pearl didn't step up. He's been taking steps back, and there's still hope there for him. But Jordan Morgan, you at least get a quality veteran. Well, not quality veteran, but a quality presence day one that acts like a veteran. So his floor is much higher than the ceiling. in my opinion. He does actually have some lapses in his blocking, but that's why he's not a top 10 pick. A lot of tackles lose reps here and there. Jordan Morgan doesn't lose that many. So that's a good thing right there. He is a very solid veteran. I got to regrade him just to double check on how I feel about him, but the majority of the edge rushers I like to watch in the Pac-12, I primarily look at how they play versus Jordan Morgan because I use him as the common factor because he is a good tackle and he is worth at least a day 2 pick. So, I have respect for Jordan Morgan, maybe not as high as the top 20 where some people want to take him. So next we have the Saints. Again, this is a trades mock draft. I am debating moving up with a team for Braylon Trice because I do believe this was a selection for Jared Verse, and it was. So Braylon Trice still on the board. I still think you could try to address Nate Wiggins at the cornerback position right now. I don't really feel like this team needs too much. You could go Kamari Lassiter and develop. That wouldn't be a bad idea either. You could go J.J. McCarthy and end up just saying, hey, screw it. We're going to, again, Caleb Williams is returned to school. You could end up just trying to develop a QB because Derek Carr, if I'm not mistaken, I think he does have some outs in his contract. This wouldn't be a bad idea. It wouldn't. So you got to keep that up there in the air. Got to float that out there. I'm not going to do it this mock draft. I'm not going to exercise it, but I do want to hear y'all's thoughts on it. And I think the corner route is a smart way to go. And arming yourself with a corner that could be in the 4.2 range and just overall as a physical freak, you already have the mentorship in place to where this makes sense. Kamari Lassiter is going to be the pick there. At pick number 36, we have the Cardinals. And honestly, Graham Barton is a home run hit. I want to double check because I know we moved back up for Chris Jenkins. And with our first pick, most likely Kool-Aid McKinstry because that's just what I do. And that's exactly the case. So we moved back twice, moved up once, and we're just going to stick right here and take a 5-star prospect in Graham Barton. Braylon Trice is a very good get as well, but I do think that the value at edge rusher can be better down the board than an interior offensive lineman with that left tackle versatility with Graham Barton. He can play center, he can play guard. It's just too good to pass on, especially when the Niners are sitting right behind you. But speaking of those Niners, there's a lot of really good picks that y'all can make here. Nate Wiggins, Josh Newton. I would love to give y'all a little bit extra juice in that secondary. And that's what I'm going to do. I always go offensive line for this team. I'm going to go after corner here because I do think offensive line at our next pick is going to be more plentiful. Unfortunately, there's not too many guys who are legitimately available in this draft that are that good. So Nate Wiggins, Josh Newton, those are the two dudes who I think would be the best choice here. TJ Tampa feels like he could be a Niners player, but I wouldn't go TJ above these two just yet. Of course, I got to see a little bit more of TJ before I give an official claim on that. However, he is still a great player, still going to be selected in this mock draft. Got a lot of respect for him, and I believe his dad ends up liking a lot of comments about TJ Tampa on Twitter. So if you ever want to get connected that way, then that'd be a fun way to do it. So for me, I am going to go after Nate Wiggins. I think his upside's a little bit higher. You already have Ward there to be your star number 1 corner, and Nate Wiggins has the upside to be a true star number 2. Patriots, to me, it's tackle and wide receiver. Again, PFF hits it on the head. So wide receiver-wise, there's a ton of choices. Now the question is, what is this team going to need? A.D. Mitchell feels like a very good pick. At the same time, can you wait for a Brian Thomas? Can you wait for Ricky Pearsall? These are guys, I know that y'all are still kind of just dying to have some legitimate firepower. And looking at the tackles, I have Troy Fautano's interior. You are kind of lacking here. Javon Foster's the one guy who I could totally see being a good fit here. But I know a lot of people like Patrick Paul as well. I got to regrade him because his play last year was complete crap. I'm just being completely 100% honest with y'all. I'm going to go after the wide receiver route. We'll do it. We're going to go A.D. Mitchell. I think y'all deserve it. A.D. Mitchell could be a true number 1 in the NFL if he stays healthy and reliable. And it's just good value at this point. So y'all need it. Y'all get it. A.D. Mitchell. At pick number 39, we moved up in the last round for Michael Penix. We're going to go back to another team that is purple, and get Josh Newton. You need a reliable secondary piece. I would go Braylon Trice in a heartbeat, but this team's secondary, in my opinion, just really continues to, I think they overperform, if I'm going to be honest. And if you get good players that overperform, then you get great production. And again, when you have, in this division, you can't have too many corners. So getting Josh Newton there is going to be a big plus. At pick number 40, I need to have a team that moves up for one of these two guys. Both of them are very respected in their own rights. I literally have Braylon Trice as my number 12 player in the draft. Again, not throwing shade at either of them. It's just how the draft fell. So I could totally see the Falcons being a primary team to move up here. They move back. I could totally see them being a team that wants to move up. And this is NFC to AFC. So why would that be the suggestion to trade in division? Makes no sense. We are going to trade up 3 spots, and I do think it would probably take the number 111 pick to get there. And honestly, that's really solid value for the Titans. If you wanted to, you could go 78 and trade maybe like 145 or 108. Like, it just depends if you want quality over quantity. Doesn't really matter for this mock draft. So the Falcons end up moving up. Regardless, could have just ended up being that 4th round pick. To select Braylon Trice. Leatu Latu is a great selection as well. Braylon Trice fits that exact mold that Bud Dupree has kind of filled for the year. And, that's just unbelievable value. Obviously, again, I'm not even against either of these guys. I have Braylon Trice as my number 12 player on the board. I blend my board with realism, to be fair. But Braylon Trice is also looked at very positively across the board. Not many teams need a lot of edge rush help anymore. Just got to be honest. We've had some really good edge rusher years over the past couple of years. It's not a massive need. At pick number 41, so in the first round, we traded back and got Cameron Kinchens. So we got some good value. And I'm curious. I'm not going to actually trade out of this. So we got the Chargers 3rd round pick and the 2nd next year, which I think is great for building a franchise. Because I don't think you need that many picks this year. So, getting the value next year is key. I personally am a big fan of going J.J. McCarthy here. If you are sitting at, what pick did y'all originally have? At pick number 9, you got to be open to it, right? You got to be open to it. So let's do it. Let's go J.J. McCarthy. I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. I feel like he fits the same offense that Jordan Love does, but you get 5 more years of not paying $25+ million a year to a quarterback. Now you can reinvest in the running back core. You can reinvest in the offensive line. There's just better uses of that money, in my opinion. Could have went Javon Foster there as well to be a star tackle, but for me, get the quarterback right. If Jordan Love ends up with y'all being at that number 9 overall pick, this is the right move. It is. Just at least give competition. At the very minimum, give some competition. We have the Eagles back on the board after getting Tyler Guyton to be the understudy, which is perfect for Lane Johnson. Now I think Leatu Latu's here. JT Tuimoloau is great as well. We're going to go Leatu Latu because I do feel like the freakiness of the athleticism, the freaky athlete that Leatu Latu is worth being able to take a swing on. For me, I'm not fully sold yet on Latu. I just don't know if his game fully translates, but he certainly is a great player. You look at it statistically, you look at it just build-wise, it's worth taking a shot on. That's for sure. At a very minimum, it's worth taking a shot on. So at pick number 43, this might be TJ Tampa, because I really think that this secondary needs a little bit extra juice in it, and there is a significant drop-off. I'll scroll down on my board again, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. We've already traded for Evan Neal. Did we? No, that was the Packers. Oh, I forgot about that. Huh. Yeah, I forgot about that one. There you go. Even I'm forgetting about the trades that happened. Packers traded for Evan Neal. So y'all still need actually a left tackle here. And you know what? I want to double check that I didn't take a left tackle. Because I did. I took Joe Alt. I was about to say, Javon Foster would be a great pick here. So yeah, this is going to be TJ Tampa. He is a top tier, consistent corner. Again, I feel like his value should be around like a late 2nd. So this is good value for him. Good value, consistent. Over the past couple of years has been on the stock reports every single week. So got to give him respect where respect is due. Pick number 44 for the Texans. Ended up making it was a Cardinals pick that we moved back that was originally Houston's. We actually ended up getting Leonard Taylor defensive interior, which I think is very, very nice. Now, other positions that we could target, we could get the first linebackers off the board. I do think this class is relatively deeper at linebacker. There's only like one that, again, you guys get to see what I think of the linebacker class. There's a cluster of quite a few that I think are top 64, which you could say means it's a good class, but it kind of is a bunch of guys who I don't know are going to start or not. And Jeremiah Trotter should not be in the top 50 or in the top 60. So for me at this point, Jatavian might be the right move. We're seeing how CJ has started to really use Dalton Schultz, and I think Jatavian it's the right value. So we'll go Jatavian Sanders, even though he only had 12 yards versus OU in their loss and had a very costly pass drop that ended up with an interception. So, not a huge fan of that. But the Colts will probably be ending up being a lot higher than this because RIP Anthony Richardson, he is going to be out for the year after a shoulder surgery, which I think is fine. He's one hell of a competitor. He's going to come back very strong, and I love the fact that he'll come back healthy. But regardless, this team, in the first round, I'm going to double check what we did here as well. When Cooper DeJean, he's not going to primarily be a corner. I wish TJ Tampa were on the board. I would take him because I think he fits perfectly. Honestly, another reason for the Titans to take him. So for me, we've already targeted our safety, which we have some good safeties that are left on the board. I'm debating going after Bo Limmer, which I still have no idea how Bo Limmer is not featured in this. Like, zero clue. It just doesn't make sense to me. But Christian Haynes is on the board. I kind of forgot about that as well. So to be fair, Christian Haynes is not going to be looked at super highly by a ton of people. But this feels like a guy who would definitely fit in this division for sure. So Christian Haynes, my number 10 player in the draft, ends up going here. Just not many guys from UConn go very highly in the first place. I've been putting my name on him for quite a while, and he's succeeding. He's doing a very good job, but it is not out of the question for him to be at the spot. We'll put it that way. So we'll continue on here with pick number 46. We have the Raiders, and Raiders did not get a quarterback, unfortunately. We ended up snagging Jerzon Johnny Newton with a trade up with Atlanta. So defensive interior has already been addressed. I do think quarterback could be on the market, but looking at the guys who are available, it really is Quinn Ewers as the guy who I'm considering. And I feel like his deep accuracy issues don't make me feel very comfortable with, taking him at this spot. So looking at other positions, because there's a lot of them, I think this is a good spot to take the first linebacker off the board. And Danny Stutzman has a ton of potential, but I love the idea of Junior Colson because he's a good pass rusher. He's a very solid coverage linebacker. He's just overall the most solid linebacker of the class. So I'm going to take a Junior Colson for the Raiders. At pick number 47, this fits perfectly for Danny Stutzman. Just going to be honest. I'm thinking of other positions to target. Want to double check what we did with Washington. We got a left tackle with right tackle versatility in Kingsley Suamataia. And now we are going to get a hyper-athletic linebacker there in Danny Stutzman. Pick number 48. So I know y'all have been talking about a run-stuffing defensive interior as a primary need for this team. That is Dante Corleone through and through. Other guy to note here, Tavondre Sweat, 355, absolute beast. Tyleik Williams, I think, has actually been the best Big Ten interior defensive lineman in terms of his run defense grade. I believe like an 83. And I love Tyleik Williams. Where is he on my board? You got Rook, but Rook's continuing to fall. Tyleik's right here at 48. So you know what? You want somebody with size who could be a really good run stopper? Let's go Tyleik Williams. Let's do it. I know y'all need a running back as well, but this class is super loaded with them, and we could always trade up again. Pick number 49, because we also, again, have those 2 third-round picks from the Chargers. Pick number 49 for the Bengals. I did not get through to the Brock Bowers sweepstakes. Ended up getting Keon Coleman to replace our beloved. It sucks to know if T. Higgins is going to leave, but, it's a good consolation prize to get Keon Coleman. So looking at this pick here, Chris Braswell. I think that the right move potentially would be to go after someone like Javon Foster. The only issue is I'd prefer right tackle over left because you do have Orlando Brown there. That's just the one issue. You could go Troy Fautanu and just put him anywhere along the line. The right tackles are pretty much gone. That's just the unfortunate thing. Tight end wise, there's nothing good here. We already went wide receiver. We could go defense interior again because there are really good ones. And you could get an absolute space eater in Tavondre Sweat, who has a ton of upside. You could go Dante Corleone as well. And you know what? Let's stay in Cincinnati. Let's change it up a little bit. I want to give a shout out to Dante Corleone. I've been able to see him in person as well. This dude is one of the few who could just drive a center back through to the quarterback. And that is awesome to see. Chargers, you're going to end up stealing an absolute sniper here in Kalen Bullock. He's going to play over Alohi Gilman. He just has more upside, in my opinion. So you guys are going to end up getting Brock Bowers and Kalen Bullock, 2 top 32 players on my board. Pick number 51 for the Rams. Want to double check this. Pretty sure I always go edge rusher for the Rams. And lo and behold, my number 7 player in the draft ends up going to the Rams. So looking at this right now, who's still available, who is in my top 32, is anybody. You got Jermaine Burton, Bo Limmer, Cowing, and Barron. So, the end of the first, which essentially are my guys. So I feel like this is a good time to potentially get a linebacker or a DB, and Tyler Nubin's just too good a value. So we're going to snag Tyler Nubin for the Rams and see wherever the hell he fits. Pick number 52. This team, the Browns, I might even go JT. Like, his value is too good. He should be going, and I like him. So for me, on this team, you could even be looking for a potential running back of the future. But they're good at sniping them down the board. Offensive line's been pretty much addressed at this point. I do think if you want to go with safety, you go after like Javon Bullard and say, hey, you're a slot corner, but we're going to see where you fit. That is probably the best move. Just this team's been consistently super loaded. If you want someone with pass rushing upside, Brandon Dorless is going to be your guy. Byron Murphy, Michael Hall. Like, there are these dudes who are going to be pass rushing specialists from the interior. So, you know what? Let's go Brandon Dorless. I like giving a little shout out to the defense interior guys. They don't get enough credit. So Brandon Dorless, 290 pounds, going to be that pass rushing penetrator that, unfortunately, I'm forgetting his name out of Oklahoma. They drafted him in the 4th round a couple years ago. He was supposed to be the next big thing, and he just didn't end up doing it, which is unfortunate. At pick number 53, we ended up going Mason Smith in the 1st round. 99.9% sure, and that is the case. So Mason Smith was the selection. I'm just debating going JT Tuimoloau at this point, or having a team trade up for him. I do think a quarterback is not out of the question here with Quinn Ewers. His deep accuracy scares me, and I don't know if he comes out, if he's going to be rumored to be a 2nd round selection. But for this, we'll assume it. So Quinn Ewers is the option here. His mobility is solid. Obviously he's just kind of someone who can give a little bit of excitement there in Seattle. Cam Ward's a really good round 3 target for y'all. Just he's had some stumbles and he didn't rebound from him, just to be put it plain and simple. And Quinn Ewers is someone who could rebound. So Cowboys in the 1st round got a corner in Denzel Burke. And I feel like now is the right time to go and test out someone like Javon Foster, a star left tackle. He has so much upside. He's a little bit older. I think he's a redshirt senior. I don't think he's a 6th year, but he has great movement skills. I comped him to like a Walmart version of Trent Williams last year, and he just doesn't seem to fully learn from his mistakes. But to be fair, Missouri's not really notorious for developing offensive linemen, and he has the raw talent. So very excited to see what happens there. Last year, he absolutely balled out versus Georgia, and that was the real game where you wanted to see him stand out. So good for Javon Foster. This is a great location for him too, because they were able to develop Tyler Smith very, very well. Now you're able to get Javon Foster too. Again, there are quite a few linebackers in this draft that y'all could end up getting. For the Steelers, I do think a linebacker should be on our board. And you got Barrett Carter here. Can JT Tuimoloau's on the board? This is ridiculous. Because I have to reemphasize that every time. It's not, again, there's just supply and demand, man. I think Barrett Carter is going to be probably what we should lean towards here because, to be honest, our linebackers are not good anyways. So why not take the guy who is going to be the higher ceiling guy? 225 pounds, not great, but at the same time, we've kind of been used to undersized linebackers at this point. I know a lot of people are crying for interior offensive line. To be fair, Troy Fautanu is a good selection. So I know a lot of people are going to say, give me center with Cedric Van Pran. You know what? Let's go Bo Limmer. He's my number 1 overall center, and he's a guard prospect too. So he's not listed, unfortunately. I wish he were. But we're going to give Zach Frazier some love by having him be my placeholder for Bo Limmer out of Arkansas. Just big fan of Bo. Overall, my number 30 player on my board. At number 56, we have the Bills. Again, JT Tuimoloau is here. Same thing with Chris Braswell. Love them both. I don't think that the Bills are necessarily in the market for an edge rusher. I'm trying to see who would be. Who's aggressive right now? If the Bears move back up, that'd be ridiculous. Not out of the question, though. I do think Arizona should be on the phone, though. They just cut Myles Sanders. Don't get me started on that. But look at how many picks we have. Ridiculous. So we are going to send 68 and 76, and we are going to get 99 in return. Maybe it'll be 124. Do your own negotiating. It's not going to affect this mock draft. But the Cardinals move up for JT Tuimoloau. I've always been saying, oh, y'all have Myles Sanders, Cam Thomas, BJ Ojulari. You don't need an edge rusher. Then y'all dumbasses end up cutting one of those players. It breaks my heart. At pick number 57, though, Levante David doesn't have too long left. I do think Barrett Carter would just be really good value at this point. Xavier Legette, though. I mean, his potential to be that Mike Evans, let's take it. Let's have fun here. Xavier Legette going to be the option. Who did I select in round number 1? Forgetting who I did. Marius Mims. Oh, damn. Y'all are getting the young, high upside talent, huh? Xavier Legette and Marius Mims. This one kick-ass group. For the Jaguars, man, why am I blanking on who I took in the first round? We got Malik Neighbors here. And Malik Neighbors, that is a very quality addition to this team. I do think that interior offensive line should be the way to go. You got Troy Fautanu here, hyper athletic left tackle with interior versatility. That's the way to rock it. He's pretty much going to be your Graham Barton value. He's right here at number 35 on my board. Well worth the selection. Pick number 59, we got Dwight McGlothern, round number 1, cornerback out of Arkansas. At this point, I do think edge rusher should be on y'all's board. As much as it pains me as a Steelers fan to say this, I do think Chris Braswell or Princely are going to be the best options. I'm going to show some love to Princely in the moment because he's been absolutely dominant. Over 30% pass rush win rate, just ridiculously good. And well deserving of being in this. Pick number 60. So we ended up going after Rome Odunze. Yes, all roads lead to Rome. And now Rome is in Detroit, so all roads lead to Detroit. RIP to the auto industry. But I do think corner 1 could be the right move. DJ James is just 165. That's the big kick in the bollocks. But, defensive interior, y'all still want someone big to eat up space. Why not 355 pounds of it with Tavondre Sweat? He also has pass rushing upside. I know you guys got Broderick Martin, I believe. I'm forgetting if that's his exact name, but it was pretty much on sale version of Jordan Davis, and Tavondre Sweat brings that plus a ton of pass rushing upside. You could just look him up, and probably the first video you'll see is from the Red River Showdown where he long armed and one of their left guard into oblivion. So, he has so much potential. I'm a big fan of him. Pick number 61 for Miami. So I really don't like drafting for this team. I do think Barrett Carter's proper value at this point. Chris Braswell as well. There's really good players who are on the board here. Barrett Carter might be the proper investment here. So I'm going to go Barrett Carter and see what happens. Again, I know y'all have some undersized linebackers there already, but Barrett Carter just sometimes is too good to pass on. At number 62 for the Niners, we ended up going after a corner in Nate Wiggins. Now, for me, I'm looking at the right side of the offensive line, and Blake Fisher is here, and I think that's well worth investing in for the long run. Just you need help. Blake Fisher hasn't been necessarily spectacular this year, but at that same time, he's shown a ton of potential, and this class is ultra thin at right tackle. So it's well worth testing out Blake Fisher for the long run. At pick number 63, we ended up going Johnny Wilson for the first round pick for the Chiefs. And at this pick, looking at the best choices that are on the board, fortunately, we haven't even had a running back go, but that's honestly not out of the realm of possibility. None of these running backs have necessarily been elite level talents. Marshawn Lloyd has a ton of potential, but when looking at it, you see how many running backs they have in here, and you can understand if no running backs go in the second because just none of them are of the supreme talent level. It's understandable why. I don't want to let my Chiefs fans down by trading out here. Looking at the guys who are available, I'm sensing it. McKinley Jackson actually is a really good addition. 320 pounds, and he moves like he's 300. Really good athlete overall. And to end off the draft, we have the Eagles here. I kind of want to end off with a trade. We do, so I'm just going to warn my Eagles fans right now. Running back could be the final pick here, but looking at the players who are available, I'm still seeing some very good wide receivers like Xavier Worthy on the board. Not really many more. I do, of course, also have Jermaine Burton on the board. I just don't think people value him enough. Looking at the offensive line, is there anybody who you can't miss on? Cooper Beebe, maybe. But besides that, no. We've already had Bo Limmer go as well. So defensive back-wise, Javon Bullard's a beast. Honestly, the Eagles should consider taking Javon Bullard. But, you got an edge rusher here in Chris Braswell that I really want to feature in this, and I'm not going to do it with the Eagles since they literally just drafted an edge rusher in Leatu Latu. So looking at a team that could want him, honestly, the Panthers. They need edge rushing help. This is essentially going to be for nothing. But, maybe you'll send a future 6. You guys can do that negotiating. But the Panthers trade back up. And y'all need to get extra defensive help. Chris Braswell has been spectacular. Kind of just a mini version of what they already have there in Dallas Turner. So that's awesome value there for you guys. You guys end off grabbing an edge 1 as well as a potential wide receiver 1. That is going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the far side.